it's us, but it's not.
I know. Here we go. Good evening and welcome to Be More Super Live. I'm your host, Brian, joined by my, honoured to say my friend of many, many decades, my lovely co-host, Mr. Steve Jones. How are you, Steve?
I'm not too bad. Suffering a bit with the lurgy, but we'll soldier on through. I know you've not been a well boy either, so we couldn't let everybody down and not talk about the goings on in Hollywood this week, and so I thought it was best to soldier on through.
So I wanted to get this. I wanted to mention this because there's some really sad news that's just been released literally minutes ago. Actor James Vanderbeek has sadly passed away. Many will know that he's been battling cancer for quite a while, and it's shocking to say, the medical industry in the States, I think, is in a shocking position because literally he was auctioning off a lot of his stuff from the shows to help pay towards medical bills and treatment. I think it's a real shame. I don't know what your opinion is, but I think it's a real shame that any country, has to charge that amount of money to keep someone healthy. But I mean, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know as UK residents, you and me, we do complain about the National Health Service, but you know, you're not having to sell stuff to get medical cover. You're not, if you've got cancer over here, then you do get the support you need. I've had family members recently have had top-notch treatment, and they're not impacted financially because of it. So you can only hold out, your thoughts for people who are, not in the position that we are, and it highlights something when somebody as well known as James has struggled to meet those financial commitments, considering the career he's had. So, those that haven't been fortunate enough to do that, then you do worry for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's been impacted, sadly, by cancer, and it's always sad to hear. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and may his legacy carry on. And this is what I love: the fact about film and TV, that his show Dawson's Creek will go on forever. Varsity Blues, many of the other plethora of catalogue that he's got will always be there for people to watch. So his legacy will go on for many, many, many years. But we are here to talk about this week a wonderful film that's coming out in 2026. This year, on June the 26th, I cannot wait. As you know, Steve, I've got two daughters. One's called Cara, after Supergirl, and the other one, Lois, after Lois Lane. So I bet you're guessing, and anyone watching is probably guessing, wait a second, he must be a Supergirl fan. What how out of 10, how excited are you for this film? I mean, have you seen Superman yet? And because I haven't even asked you this yet. Have you seen Superman?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. So I watched it on my own first of all, and then I watched it with the family
Why does
because,
that sound creepy? I
well,
watched it by
I
myself.
think yeah, well, maybe it is, but for me, it was more about I don't know if this is a thing in your household or anybody out there. Tell me if it's not in the comments, but um, you try and watch a film with the family and suddenly it turns into a debate. It's this everyone's talking over it. You don't actually hear what's going on. So before I watched it with them, I decided I want to sit down, watch it, immerse myself in it, really enjoy it. And I did. And I said to the fam, I think you're really going to enjoy this. So we watched it together and we had a lot of fun. And yeah, I really, really liked it. There's always going to be people out there that, compare it to previous incarnations and stuff, but it's his own thing. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Mark Cohen is my brother-in-law. He's saying hi, guys. Thank you for joining us. Remember, if you are watching, please hit subscribe, share, try and get as many people on this stream. This is how we grow. This is how we get the benefit of getting these awesome guests on. And we've got an awesome guest to announce for next week, which I'm really excited about, but I'll announce that later in the stream. But yeah, so Superman, absolutely loved and adored, as you can imagine. And then now when they announce Supergirl, I mean, when you watch Superman, how excited were you to see Millie Alcock appear as Supergirl?
Yeah, I think I'd had a spoiler that she appeared at the end. No spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen the movie too much, so apologies for that. But yeah, I knew she turns up at the end of it because there was the whole kind of how is he dog sitting Crypto? You know what's going on there because it appeared like that was what was happening. So I think there was an inclination that she was going to turn up at the end, and it didn't disappoint. I thought it was a great way to great change in dynamic to have another Kryptonian turn up.
See, for me, I was quite shocked on how Supergirl was in Superman because it was very tongue in cheek. She's obviously gone out, got plastered, and she's come back to get a dog. I was quite shocked because traditionally,
Mm.
I know that you mentioned in the week about Helen Slater, which I'll bring up a picture. So when Supergirl was originally made in the early 80s, we had Helen Slater that played Supergirl. And this was obviously made by the same people that made the Superman movies that Christopher Reeve was in, the Salkind brother, the Salkinds.
Yeah,
And it was very much family entertainment. It was very, I don't know, it was,
uh,
I don't know
I
how to
watched it.
describe it. Yeah,
I watched it this week. I thought I'll give it a go because I knew we were going to be talking tonight. And it's a strange movie, right? There's a lot. There's witches and there's a lot of magic, and it just feels very different in tone from Superman, and it was a little bit problematic at times. There was grown men kissing schoolgirls and stuff, and you're like, this is a bit weird now. When you look back on stuff with the lens of modern
it
day, you
doesn't
go,
age well.
this feels a little bit strange. Yeah, exactly. But she was quite mild and timid, and she does come out of a shell in the film a little bit as Supergirl in order to overcome things, but there's no sense of and probably the same as the Arrowverse series. You had what 5, 6, 7 seasons, and she was always quite assured of herself in that, but very much of a similar ilk to Clark and Superman because they both had this moral compass and this almost quite assured self belief.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think we felt that of this new incarnation of
I mean,
Kara.
I
No,
wanted
definitely
before
not.
we go on to Millie Alcock and the casting of the new Supergirl. So we had Helen Slater. Again, for me, I really liked her as Supergirl. Again, I'm a big fan of the Reeve movies, so for me, it had the same look. It had the same cinematography of that sort of series of films. And then the next Supergirl that we saw on our screens was Laura Vandervoort in Smallville. So this isn't traditionally the S on the chest. She played a completely different character that obviously landed on Earth to find a cousin, Clark Kent or Kal-El. I enjoyed this, version of Supergirl. Again, I enjoyed Smallville anyway. I'm a massive fan of Smallville, and Laura Vandervoort in it just played an excellent Supergirl. Something not traditional in the way of the costume and her flying and stuff like that. But that's what I liked about Smallville. And then you mentioned the Arrowverse, so
Mm.
we had Melissa Benoist who played Supergirl. This I've got to say, as one of my favorite versions. I loved the
Yeah.
show from start to finish, and I was absolutely shocked when it ended. But it ended in such a great way because paved the way for Superman and Lois, the series. As I love that show as well, as all the viewers out there will know, because I've interviewed the majority of the cast of that show. But I mean, what was it about Melissa Benoist that you liked as Supergirl? Was there anything that she did differently to Helen Slater and Laura Vandervoort and other reincarnations of the character?
um, yeah, I guess I think it was I don't know. I think the way that the whole thing was formatted really helped because being a fan of the Arrowverse as it was then, watching the Flash and the Arrow and even things like Black Lightning, you got quite a lot of stuff there that um it all followed a similar format, and it was good against evil, and then there was it did just felt like she carried it really well. She had like a quiet strength to her, which I
Yeah.
liked. It was something. I think the supporting cast was great. Do you know what I mean? Jeremy Jackson and Broadway legend that he is
Yeah.
in there, and a few others that genuinely sort of um, rounded off that universe because it always felt quite isolated. She always felt like she was this almost side character, but they created a whole universe around her and made sure that she had her place in Superman lore. I thought,
Mm.
and yeah, it was a great incarnation. Really enjoyed all 7 seasons. Was it? Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The show wasn't, I would say, Oscar-winning writing.
No.
It was entertainment. It was popcorn series that you knew what you were going to get. You
Yeah.
knew what was on the side of the tin. And then as we creep past this, we start to get closer to Millie Alcock, and
Mm.
then it starts to get a bit more controversial. So you had the Flash. So this was after Helen Slater. You didn't have another movie Supergirl since then. So since the 80s. So the casting of her Sasha Callis, I think her name is. That's how you pronounce her surname. Um, so the casting was all over the place. Again, a lot of negativity because she didn't look like the traditional, blonde hair and everything like that. I thought she was awesome in the film. The unfortunate thing is the film had Ezra Miller in it, which destroyed it because he got arrested for kidnapping and all that jazz. So I think that because of that, the film didn't do too well. I went to go and see the film like literally 2 months before the release, and I watched it in a secret cinema in London, and hardly any of the special effects had been finished. So literally, no lie, when they were showing it, when it got to the point with the special effects, there were stick men moving around the screen, and I was like, wow, I hope this isn't the finished article. But again, I don't know if you've seen The Flash, but she plays a
Yes.
really good Supergirl, and I was looking forward to it. But again, she was a Supergirl in Henry Cavill's world.
Yeah, she was a lot more serious, wasn't she? And we
Yeah,
didn't really see her as an alter ego. She was just Supergirl, right? And um, but I mean that film, like you say, was problematic in itself. I mean, you had Keaton in there doing amazing things again, which was
Yeah,
great to see. And I thought she played a really strong character. But I mean, that film's the CGI in that film. You know, some of the sequences, it's just. I mean, it's been well documented across the internet.
yeah.
It wasn't great. Some of the stuff on there was pretty bad. But I thought she did a good job. I thought it was a bit more dark and brooding, and I think that came across. But I think that's the whole Snyderverse. Everyone's a little bit more dark and brooding in that compared to normal.
Exactly. So I was quite shocked, as I said at the beginning, of how Supergirl came across. But do you think that the way that she is just, the times that we're in? This is what we need, is a Supergirl with a bit more sass, someone that is a bit more complex. Because Helen Slater in Supergirl was very, I would say, don't get me wrong, I love the movie. I think it's an amazing movie, and she plays a great Supergirl, but it was very two-dimensional. It wasn't,
Yeah,
you felt there
100%.
weren't any substance there. But already from the teasers, which we're going to have a look at the teaser in a second of Supergirl, but do you think that it's because the time that we're in and, we need more of a complex Supergirl?
I think it is, and I think it's a little bit in contrast uh, uh, to Superman in this new universe. I think it's that sense of um, she's somewhat fatigued by things. So she grew up on Krypton, right? And she's, as far as I'm aware, and this might be the law as far as the new film's concerned. I don't really know yet. Not seen it, obviously, but um, historically she grew up on Krypton, in a city, in a bubble, living in this destroyed city, a city that's basically escaped from Krypton's destruction. So I think there's a little bit of fatigue there, a little bit of like uh, being downtrodden. Her cousin's gone off and become this hero of another world, and there's a little bit of like, what's it all about? She's got a bit of like pent up something, so she's going out on the Raz, getting wasted, traveling around the universe, trying to find a purpose, trying to find something. Like that's
Yeah.
how I interpret what I've seen so far.
Yeah. I mean, the film is based on this comic, which is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I want to give a shout out actually to Third Eye Comic Store because they actually sent me this book, and it's actually signed by the writer, which is Tom King,
Amazing.
which is pretty awesome. So this is actually what the movie is going to be based around, and it's a cracking comic. I'd recommend everyone getting it. I mean, I don't want to big it up too much because the thing is, it's one thing reading a comic, but then it's another thing seeing the film and how different it's going to be. But let's have a look at the trailer. And we can talk about some appearances of some characters. One is actually in prison right now, which we'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
Which is not as bad as you think, but we'll talk about it. So here we go with the trailer.
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time. It's a good job, buddy. Hi, cars are out. Hereby declare the 23 will be the best year yet. Let's be honest, babe, it's not a very high bar to clear.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind. Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Do others on your planet have powers like you?
It's a pretty small group of two.
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
Oh, so he sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth, which is interesting that she says that because I cannot wait. I really can't. So let's talk about your thoughts on that trailer, because for me, it seems very Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got that feel to it, and that's not by accident. I mean, what's your view on the trailer? Does it make you even more hyped?
Yeah, 100%. That's my first time seeing that length of trailer. I've seen the teaser before, so I've not seen that, and I kind of wanted to wait so I could react instantly. And like you say, there's a massive Guardians vibe. I mean, it's Mr. Gunn at his best, right? So I love that the soundtrack sounds like it's going to be heavily important in this. I like the vibe. I like that it's a bit grungier, that it's space. We're seeing a bit more of the wider universe. It's not just Earthbound, so that excites me. Seeing all the different aliens that we probably come up against, some familiar, some not. And we all know there's been some casting that we've kind of been waiting for. That you kind of wondered, how did that guy end up not playing this character before now, because he's perfectly attuned for it. And
well, let's talk about that guy,
so,
because I know exactly who you're talking about. This is the best quality picture I could get, which is of Jason Momoa as Lobo. So I don't know if you ever saw the series Krypton, but Lobo was played by Emmett Scallon, who did an amazing job. But for me, Jason Momoa is Lobo. But the question is he going to be a villain or an anti-hero? I mean, what is he going to be? Because the way he comes into that room, it looks like he's going to kick some backsides, but maybe for the good. So do you think that he is going to be against Supergirl, or is he going to be sort of with her?
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because he's a bounty hunter, right? That's my understanding of Lobo. I'm not a huge knowledge, so I think it depends on. I imagine there'll be a bit of both, right? So I imagine there'll be a bit of conflict at least at first. Maybe they'll work together. Maybe there'll be a bit of double crossing. I don't know. I'd like that. I like that dynamic change when enemy becomes friend or friend becomes enemy. I think it'll be interesting to see. But I'm excited about it. Also, we'll see what comes. But that's my thoughts. I think it'll be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see, and this film had a test screening recently as well, and apparently the reports are it's been overwhelmingly accepted in a positive way, which it's unheard of, because normally when they do test screenings, they go back in to do reshoots and everything like that. But this has been, been given, A-star rating. And then Jason Momoa's Lobo reportedly has a substantial role, and he's crucial to the ending, apparently. So again, what could happen? And then we go on to the main antagonists of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is the graphic novel, which is Krem, which is this guy here. There we go. Look at that, pretty. He's so pretty. This is a guy that actually is in prison right now. So the actor that you would have seen, he was in that series with the series of films with Charlie Theron, where they sort of live forever and they go around helping people. I forgot what it's Old Guard, the Old Guard on Netflix, and apparently it's called Matthias. I think he's like Dutch or something like that. Has reportedly been sentenced to 6 months in prison on the December the 1st. It was announced that he was sentenced to 6 months in prison for repeatedly driving without a valid license. Okay. So It's not
Well,
rock and
we
roll.
can't condone that.
Uh,
No.
but yeah, I mean, will this damage the movie? Um,
Um, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I don't think so. In so much as there's been other movie franchises that have been problematic due to arrests and stuff. If we go over to Marvel, you'll see a bit of that. But I think maybe that kind of thing is stupid and it's negligent. But I think it will probably survive. I don't think he's enough of a draw to make that difference. If that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I mean, being locked away for a valid driving license. I mean, you look at Kiefer Sutherland. Nothing's stopping him, and he's been in prison. Look at Robert Downey Jr. He's been in prison, but it's not as bad as some actors in the DC universe that has been arrested. So, but this character is the main antagonist. So, again, he looks a great character. He looks very Guardians of the Galaxy. What you'd find on one of the pirate ships. That's all I'm scared of. Is that the comparison to Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be too much? Again, James Gunn brings his own feel to it. He's not obviously directing it. It's Craig Gillespie, something like that. He's the one directing it. So, but it's still in the James Gunn world. So I'm excited for it. I think you're going to get a bit of an origin story, which is always good, because he didn't want to do that with Superman because it's been done too many times. So with Supergirl, you're going to get a bit of an origin story. But for me, my biggest fear of Superman was to do with a furry little animal. And my fear, again, has become even larger because of this cute little cuddly thing, which is Krypto. We get to see how Krypto and Kara Zor-El meet. What's your thoughts around Krypto? I mean, you've seen Superman.
Yeah, it was one of those when it was announced. Obviously, I've seen like Krypto and the Super Friends stuff and all of that. As a cartoon and what have you. I was concerned because it is quite easy to make it a bit too kidified having a dog, especially one that's like almost fully CG, and you're like, well, it is difficult because it doesn't really fit with any of the previous on-screen live action incarnations. It feels a bit of a left field move, but I think I didn't hate it. It was okay. I'm not saying that I was like, oh my god, this is an amazing character. I find it a little bit annoying how overexcited it was. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll see whether there's some sort of throughout this Supergirl film, whether there's some sort of growth there on Krypto's behalf. Some calm maybe. But
I think,
let's not forget he's helped save the day.
yeah, of course. I mean, in Superman, he was like it was comedy value, wasn't he? He like gave like the moments that made you laugh out loud. What I'm concerned about is that, don't get me wrong, I don't like when people get injured in films, but when animals get injured, that for me is on a completely different level. I don't know if anyone else is watching that agrees, but animals for me is a no-no. When I was younger, I watched Turner and Hooch and Canine and films like that, and that cemented my dislike of animals getting hurt on film. But Supergirl looks a lot darker. It looks like it's going to be grittier than Superman. So are we going to see more of a serious side to Krypto? The more sort of loving and will something horrible happen to him? I just don't want to think about it. But it'd be nice to see him in another film. I mean, CGI, they've done a very good job though. I mean, my wife thought it was a real dog. And she said, how did they get the dog to do all that? And I was like, well,
The flying on the wires, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
yeah, it's a stunt dog. It's a stunt dog. But yeah, I mean, what's your view on like sort of how dark the trailer looks compared to the Superman film?
I like it because I like that there's a change of tone. It doesn't feel like they've just gone, well, here's Superman, but she's female. It feels like there's a different story to be told. And, there are darker episodes in life. So you'll have lighter times, you'll have times. And she says it herself, he sees the good in everyone. So the way the story is told is from his perspective that he sees good in everyone. Whereas I think she's a little more jaded and a little more worldly wise, kind of. I take people, I see people for the truth, not for the best in them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops and what that means. And will she overcome that to become more like Cal, or
Yeah.
will it take her in the darker direction? Who knows?
I
We'll
mean,
see.
I'm quite shocked on how fast paced they're doing everything, because obviously Man of Tomorrow started filming pre-production already, and it only came out last year, and straight away they're on for a sequel, which is unheard of, because many studios wait at least a couple of years before greenlighting a sequel. So who knows? We might see a sequel to Supergirl the year after. So this might be the start of the DC universe, James Gunn way, and obviously with Netflix potentially buying Warner Brothers. Who knows? It might make the universe even bigger. But the test screenings, as I said, really positive. There's been loads of social media posts around comparing Baby Krypto to Groot. I think it's been unfair with the comparisons with Guardians of the Galaxy. But I just can't wait. I really can't. So the 26th of June, I'm sadly going to be away on that date. So if they do a premiere before that, we're up for that. I want to go down and check out the film and get any early screenings. And I can't wait for Lobo as well. I've got a feeling, what do you reckon, that after the movie, the hype is going to be so big? Do you think Lobo will get his solo film?
It's possible, isn't it? I mean, I know Jason Momoa's wanted to play him for a long time, didn't he? He texted James Gunn when he got the DC job, and he's just said Lobo, baby. So he knew what he wanted to do this, and if he carries enough gravitas, which I expect he will, what his character's like. We've seen him in other things where he's played similar sort of characters. Even his Arthur Curry, very different from anything else we'd seen. Probably more Lobo than Aquaman, but if he could carry it with the right amount, the right level of charm, but also grit and sort of wickedness is probably not the right word, but it's how I feel like that maybe he's got enough there to carry it for a solo movie. Just expanding that universe even wider, I suppose we can see some more characters on the periphery of the DC universe, that we've not seen before.
I mean, were you shocked when they announced the casting of Supergirl? Because obviously we know Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, and her performance in that, which is outstanding. But when they announced it, for me, she didn't come across to me as Supergirl. But again, that just shows, doesn't it? Until you see the outfit and her in it, you're not going to see that.
Yeah, and I think, like we talked about before, the most recent incarnation of Supergirl was so very different. Short, dark hair, trousers, the whole shebang. So this was kind of a closer to the original design, but she didn't come across as the sort of actress that would play Kara in my mind. But having seen her in Superman and stuff, I think I'm kind of like, I'm willing to accept that's who you are. Let's see what you've got to show us. So I'm excited for that. I think she's got the acting chops for it.
I mean, one of the actresses that was rumored was the one that does a voice in the animated, which is Meg Donnelly. She was in Zombies on Disney. So anyone with kids definitely knows this series of films. But it was quite disappointing that she didn't get it, because I thought she would make a great Supergirl. But then looking at it, I mean, Millie Alcock to me doesn't come across as a perfect Supergirl. So maybe that might be to her advantage and our advantage as an audience, because we're going to go into it not expecting, you know, the mold that we're used to with Ellen Slater
The Girl Scout.
and all the others. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not a Girl Scout, is she? Not like you would almost expect. She's coming from a different. She's a not a human being, but she's a Kryptonian. You know, they're all different. They're just the same as Earthlings are. You know, so I feel like we're going to get a little bit more depth and dimension to her with this casting. So yeah, let's see what she does with it.
You know, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So that is on the 26th of June. If anyone's got any thoughts or anything like that around this movie, their predictions or anything they want to say, please comment. Even if you're watching this after the live, we do monitor the comments and comment back. But we're coming up to the end of the stream. But you know what? I want to get you to watch a trailer, which I'm not sure that you've seen. It's not Supergirl. It's not superhero related. But I watched it, and I'm not a massive fan of this actor. But this film has got me excited on so many levels because it's my kind of movie, and it's called Project Hail Mary. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I want to play the trailer for everyone to watch, and we just want to say a few words on it. So here we go.
I understand that you think I'm the right person for this mission. I understand the stakes.
Object approaching.
If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct, including us. Dr. Grace, the world is counting on you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm Grace. I'm gonna call you Rocky. We're here for the same reason. His son is dying too. If we're gonna save our planets, we have to learn how to communicate. Check this out. We have about 250 words. Let's find you a voice.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Oh.
Nope.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Try this.
I am Rocky. I like.
So I have a new roommate now.
Hi, Grace.
Together, we're pretty smart. But no one's ever done this before.
It is time go.
I think you're being go time, pal.
There are infinite possibilities for this to go wrong.
This ship wasn't built for this. Now!
If Grace Rocky saves stars, we can go home.
I think this is a one-way trip for me.
I will not let Grace die.
Wow. Do you know what? That film needs to be watched on the biggest IMAX screen that you can get your head into, because it just looks epic. The fact that they can make it look visually it's like an orgasm for the eyeballs. Do you know what I mean? What is your view on that movie? Because Ryan Gosling, for me, I'm not a massive fan, but that looks like it's going to be one of his finest films.
I think it's. I mean, he's doing the thing of I'm the geeky scientist because I'm wearing glasses and stuff. That kind of thing going on there, and you're a little bit like, here we go. It's another one of those. But once you got into the trailer, and it's like a buddy movie, right? This is what it turns out to be. The from what I can tell, there's something to do with the Earth and the sun and the star that hit this creature's planet circles around are set to die because of something that's happened, and they're trying to restart the sun's energy and get it reborn as a star that will save basically both their universes. So it sounds like a buddy movie, like a there's not going to be many people in it, and I kind of like that. I like that there's this isolation, but this development of a relationship between two species that, and I mean, I love The Martian, so hopefully this is carries on that theme of space adventure that we're a little bit more sci-fi in this one, but it definitely looks exciting stuff.
It looks good, and when I watched it, I was like, this looks like a film that I'd like to go to the cinema to watch. There's only certain films that I think to myself, do I want to spend 30 odd quid, you know what I mean, for one seat to watch a film? And there's certain films that I will definitely go to the cinema, and this, it's got me thinking, do I want to go and see it? But I cannot wait. Project Hail Mary comes out next month, I think on the 20th, I think it said. So I can't wait for the buzz and all the feedback from that, from all the fans. But that is it for our live stream. We've got a great guest next week, Steve. I'm super excited. I had him on Be More Super 5 years ago. 5 years ago. And since then, he's done so much more. People will know him from Band of Brothers, which is a great epic series by Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. He was in Hook, of course. He played one of the Lost Boys. He was in The Penguin with Colin Farrell and Sheree Agdashlu, as well as other things like The Featherweight, which is his latest film that he did like a year ago. But he's got so many credits to his name. It's James Madio. And I'm so honoured to have him on the show. He confirmed earlier on today. So for anyone watching, please join us next week, because James Madio is going to be on live. So you can ask questions about The Penguin. What did Colin Farrell smell like? You name it. You can ask whatever you want, and we will fire it to James to answer. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of questions about Band of Brothers, The Penguin, and The Featherweight, because I love a good boxing movie. So, Steve, thank you so much. What are you up to for the rest of the week? Anything exciting?
Well, it is half term next week, so I'm having a little bit of time off my day job to spend with the family, and then honestly, just getting excited about speaking to James next week. I think it's going to be an incredible interview, and I can't wait to chat.
My little girl is on her first residential tomorrow, so Cara. So she's probably not even in bed right now, and it's now 8:45. She's got a bag packed. I know that. She's got her wellies, her gloves, and everything like that. So I'm so excited for her. But there could be some great news, exciting news for Be More Super coming up, which I'll find out at the end of the week. But things are on the up. Some exciting news coming, and some exciting guests as well that are going to be on the show. If you've got any recommendations of any guests that we should have on. And another thing, James Madio appeared in an episode of Bones. Just to let you know, because you're a fan of Bones. But join us next week when we speak to James Madio. Thank you so much. Keep safe and stay super. Let's run for a sec.